I'm Jeanette, Jay, and my original part 2 got lost somewhere between my SIM card and a cloud. So again, still in the infancy, so I'm gonna shoot it again, and let me turn this around and see what happens. Okay, part 2, take 2. So, this is the back of my house. This is the porch where I showed you the container gardening in the last video. And we just had this porch built, and in doing so we ended up overshadowing our grape arbor here, and that caused an epidemic of leaf spots. So we are repurposing this, and as you can see, projects, folks. I've got projects on this channel. This is the infrastructure, the materials here. This pergola structure is going to be carried out up to the front porch area, and it will come all the way back here to nearly the end of these steps. It's going to be an eating area, an outdoor kitchen, but easily repurposed with some plastic for grow space. And this is going to go away, and this space right here where this pergola is, in this area here, which is those are 8-foot boards. So, and I'm thinking about an 18 by 12 space for my Three Sisters garden, because a greenhouse will be going in there, like I stated. Now, this is my berry patch. It'll be coming out an additional 4 feet. And I have, right now, I have 3 blueberries. That is not enough. Even though they're prolific and they're in their 6th year, I believe, it's just not enough to feed the family. So we're going to be extending that out, probably getting another 5. This is my blackberry patch. Again, it's just not enough. So we're pulling this out another 4 feet to leave a pathway here between this bed and this berry patch. There's the post that we're going to be using. So, and this also will become a covered structure, bird netting at first, but always adaptable to plastic. And that's the point of this whole channel, really. What I'm doing here, the purpose, all of these projects, is I'm preparing for cold weather coming. You don't see a lot of that in gardening channels. And so that's what I'm doing here. Now, currently what I have here is, I have okra. I think there's about a dozen okra bushes here. I have my second growth of cucumber climbing up the trellis here. And then, oh, look at that, a garden wasp. Hello, darling. A couple more okra bushes. I have some peppers down here. I don't know if you could see them. And I have one lonely eggplant, which hasn't produced yet this year, but it is flowering, and I think I might get one. I'm not sure. And then, of course, I have some bush beans down here. Peppers have just not done great this year. But, you know, there's always next year. And this was just temporary. All of this is going to be mowed down, pulled out. Cardboard's going to go down, and we're going to start the soil layer, hopefully in time to get beets in. It is about 90 degrees out here today, September 25th or 6th, I'm not real sure. These are my beans. Now, when I came back, I was just on vacation. When Brad sent everybody over, I love you, Brad, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm touched and blessed to have friends like you. So when I left on vacation up in the mountains, no reception, come back, 38 new subscribers, 78 views, unbelievable. My thought was that this was going to be torn out when I got back so that I could start working on this bed. And I come back, and these are my pole beans, and there are just flowers everywhere. I mean, it looks rough, but there are flowers and buds and green beans just going and going and going. And I've already gotten 3 gallons of green beans off of just this line of bushes here. And the plan is, and you can see, there's the cattle panels. I'm going to come 1 foot in between each of these beds, and those are 16-foot cattle panels, and I'm going to run up the entire length and create a tunnel here. Again, cover it with plastic, cover it with shade cloth, whichever way you decide to go. That's more protection for winter crops or shade from UVs, and that will be helpful. Also just a really great growing method. I love trellising and have always wanted to do the tunnels overhead. It expands your growing space. And then this has not been used at all this year. It needs, other than storage for materials. So there's a lot of space here between my beds. And Rebecca Jo, hi Rebecca Jo, she had asked the question, where am I from? And I am in a zone 7B in Southern Virginia, somewhere between Hampton Roads and Emporia, between 2 swamps. So I have incredibly high humidity in my region. And that is why you will see such large spacing between my plants and between my crops. Powdery mildew, funguses, leaf curl, black spot. These are the funguses and the mildews and the powder. They're just heavily prevalent in my area, and they really did take out my grapevines this year, which is fine. It's great. We kind of half expected it to happen when we built this deck, which was required. You guys met my son Alex in the last video. We had a ramp. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we had a ramp built down the side of our house here, and that's because he had knee surgery a year ago. He has surgeries quite often, and so wheelchair access was very important. So we knew that this was going to cause a shadow. We didn't realize it was just really going to devastate the grapes. We gave it a year. These are going to move. We're going to start a permaculture garden in the back of the property. I'm on an acre, 1.2 acres. We always say that the house takes up the 0.2 acres and the rest of the acre is mine to plant, and that I will. And okay, so this is the Three Sisters garden, which I talked a little bit about last time, and I gotta tell you folks, in preparing for severe weather, one of the things that I have learned this year is that TPs just ain't gonna cut it. They get knocked down too frequently. They're uprooting my pole beans, smushing my squash plants, wreaking havoc. So next spring, when I attempt this again, and I will attempt it again, it's just way too efficient of a growing system to ignore. They fertilize each other, which is amazing. Imparting the nitrogen fixation and exchange between the plants is absolutely amazing. The Native Americans have been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they got it right. They definitely got it right. It's a great way to grow a massive amount of food in a small space. And with very, very little effort with regard to material usage, and also with regard to fertilizers, and I absolutely never use pesticides. The most I will use is Castile soap and water with a little bit of oil in it to separate the oils, peppermint oil on occasion, and that's really just as a deterrent. Try to stick with as organic growing as much as possible, and I love my pollinators far too much to expose them to chemicals that could hurt and kill them, especially my bees. To point right here, as you can see, I still have watermelon vines in my garden. And the reason why I'm leaving them there is because they're still flowering. And although I don't expect to get anything usable off the vines, I'm feeding my favorite bees. So, and that's important. And, you know, I did get, let me see here. Step out of my shadow here. I did get 2 watermelons in September, and that's a pretty big deal. Not everybody gets watermelon in September. So let me turn around here and I'll show you. These are the windows that I was speaking of. We salvaged those when we made repairs to the outside of our home. Replaced all of our windows, and then this is a 2-foot by 12-foot bed. Once those windows are gone, I'll put an additional 12-foot by 2-foot bed back there. This fence, and obviously I've got a thing going on here with my gate, that's all changing. The grumpy goat is my husband. That's one of his many projects. This is another gate area that's going to be going in. Now, I ended up with 120 cherry tomato plants this year, and that was a fluke. I was testing out germination rates of various heirloom seed providers, and I just can't throw out a plant that's growing. I have to find a space for it somewhere. So they ended up going out in succession into the garden, into containers, and I ended up with this 12-foot by 2-foot garden here, this 6-foot by 2-foot here, and this 12-foot by 2-foot over here. I was supposed to put, and I have butchered these down. These are about spent. They're coming out very, very soon, and we will have winter plantings going in here and the cardboard going down in the dirt. There's a couple of pepper plants down in this area. I don't know if you can see. There's a couple of pepper plants here, right here, just not producing. And human, Idris, say hi, baby. So, structure is driven a lot by humidity. Planting is driven a lot by humidity. You just got to have the airflow in my region. So it may seem like a waste of space to many northern gardeners that I have these rows so very far apart. But for me, it's very well worth it because I don't use a lot of chemicals in my growing. I would prefer to use as few as possible, and what I do use is very much organic and natural. So that brings me to this 12 by 24 foot what is now a garden house and will be a indoor grow house very, very shortly. And that is the second video. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'm going to take you into the greenhouse next video. Thank you so much. Bye.